introductions. For anybody who doesn't know me, and I'm not sure who that would be, but my name is David Harris. I'm the field director for the council. I guess I'll be your moderator or semi-host tonight. Jack, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Jack Cowherd. I live in Fulton. I'm Vice President for Membership for the Council. Chris, or somebody jump in.
Yep. Chris Harper, District Executive for Kinderhook and Osage Trails District.
And this is Justin Wiles out of Kirksville, Missouri, District Executive for the Black Diamond and Mark Twain districts. Welcome, everybody.
Justin, did you say Missouri on Tuesday and Missouri tonight just to keep everybody happy?
I try to do that, yes.
No.
So Lori, which is it supposed to be?
It's Missouri. It's an I, not an A at the end of Missouri.
I'm with you.
But you don't argue with my dad. It's Missouri.
Missouri is too close to misery for me sometimes.
Well, I understand that.
Well, a week ago it was misery. Now it's cooled off. And I'm Don Harder. I'm the Boones Lake District Roundtable Commissioner, and I also do some scouting events, and I'll date myself with my t-shirt here. I don't know if you can read 1999 Camp Thunderbird t-shirt.
Got that one. Got it.
Yep. Don, I think that was one of the years I was helping you with Derby Days years ago.
A much younger you, Dave, and a much younger me also. And I'm here tonight. I'm trying to learn a little bit how to use this different platforms of social media, as I had sent Dave an email recently about Boones Lake District Roundtable being virtual and how to do breakout rooms. So I thought I could learn something just by seeing how this works.
Sure. Well, let's say we have, who else, who hasn't, we've got a Tommy and a Tom that haven't introduced themselves yet.
I'm Tommy Gorn. Been a scout my entire life and just took over as the Cub Master Pack 703.
Yeah, second generation Cub Master 703.
That's right. Yeah, Dad was the Cub Master 703, and I'm an Eagle Scout at Troop 708 here in Columbia, Missouri. So.
And I owe Tom Mingwasser an apology. He sent me a note the other night that I missed it until after the event. He had lost the link to the meeting. So thank you, Tom, for persevering and joining us tonight instead of Tuesday night. Cub Master from Pack 332 in Wardsville. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the PowerPoint and let Jack, our Vice President for Membership, kind of kick things off here.
David, didn't hear from Laurie or Ken, I don't think, did we?
Oh, I thought we did. I'm sorry. I was chatting with Ken and Laurie earlier, and I may have missed that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Ken Newkirk. I'm a roundtable and member of the district committee in Kinderhook.
All right. And I'm Lori Eckhoff. I'm with Pack 44 in Sweet Springs, Missouri. And my son.
This session tonight is just basically to talk about membership strategies. As you know, that the lifeblood of any scouting organ or scouts is bringing Cub Scouts in, and it sounds a little, when I say that, sometimes I get, it looks like we're just trying to perpetuate ourselves, but I also think that we have to be constantly reminding our new parents or young parents what scouting can do, and the kind of values that we push for our Cub Scouts and our training we do with our Cub Scouts. We are fundamentally preparing future leaders at early ages, and I don't believe our young parents understand that all the time. I think they're so wrapped up in some other activities, and a lot of they have a lot of choices. So we have to constantly keep working on that and trying to work through those processes. We have a membership goal of increasing membership. I think it's 5% or 15% over a 3-year period. Right, even though that is the executive committee's goal, and I participated in that process. With this COVID-19, I think our prime objective is to figure out a new way to deliver the program and hang on to what we have and try to encourage those people that are good members to bring others in with them and work through that. Doesn't negate the challenges of trying to get new members in at any point in time, but it's just gives us an opportunity to develop new ways for the program. So David, I'd turn it back to you for any comments.
No, I think you're right on the mark. We've got a lot of challenges in front of us, and that kind of segues into the first slide here is what Cub Scouting looks like in the fall of 2020 with everything going on with COVID and all of the challenges that everybody's facing. If you look at what we've done through the spring, we had a lot of units that were just kind of sitting on hold and doing nothing, waiting to see what was going to happen. We had other units that phased themselves back into doing den meetings or pack meetings or parking lot meetings, and had some camping trips and so forth. So we started to see things come back in, and then we hit summer, and we were one of only 30% of the camps nationwide that actually operated this summer. And I'll tell you that the single most common piece of feedback we got this summer was thank you for being open, thank you for giving us a chance to do scouting. Because so many camps and so many councils had outright canceled their programs. So it's clear to us that families and scouts want the opportunity to do Cub Scouting. We just need to find perhaps some innovative ways to make that possible. And as we're looking at our plans for this fall, units have to consider a lot of things. There's federal guidelines, local, state, and so forth. You see on the right side of the screen there, I hope everybody can see my PowerPoint that I shared there. That is called a Restart Scouting Checklist that is linked on our council membership or Fall Cub Scout recruiting page. It's a great checklist to work through with your unit, with your chartered organization as you're trying to determine how best to move forward this fall. We're looking at meeting places. We're looking at rules related to masks and distancing and so forth. Some units will, depending upon where they're located, will be able to launch right back into what they've been doing all along. It's going to vary quite a bit from community to community. But in many cases, there'll be units that will take a plan A approach and just do what they've been doing with maybe a few tweaks related to masks and distancing and sanitizing and so forth. Others will take we'll call it Plan B, where they focus more on family-led activities. Maybe they have den meetings in family homes, but they're not doing pack meetings in a large group setting. Maybe they're doing those over a Zoom, or they're doing them in a parking lot or a different location to where they can spread out. The key will be, as you're going through planning your pack calendar, is taking a look at what your available options are. Talk to your chartered organization, talk to your normal meeting place, the schools. What are your options in terms of, can you meet in the school? Can you meet at the church or in the church basement or at the Lions Club or whatever it may be? What sort of policies do they have in place? What sort of policies does your chartered organization have in place? And consider all of those things as you're putting together your calendar and your trips and activities and different things that you've got on the list. We will talk a little bit more about it as we go on, but planning that unit calendar is a big part of getting ready for the recruiting season, because that's going to be one of the big pieces you're giving out to those new families and sharing with them as they get ready to join the adventure and be part of what Cub Scouting has to offer. And one of the items on this page is communication, and that's just a key point. You have to keep everybody in the loop and make sure that everyone knows what's going on in your pack and when your meetings are and all of that, because too many times we've seen over the years where we have a family or a scout that leaves scouting, it's because they didn't feel engaged, they didn't feel welcome, and they didn't feel like they were getting all the information they need, and it's too easy to avoid that. Along the same lines, what does school night look like in 2020? Jack, did you want to jump in with some here? Or?
Yeah, I think it's very unclear what school night's going to look like throughout the council. Out of having just retired from the school district, at the end of June, people were that I associated with in the school business were pretty leery of having any outsiders in the buildings at all. I think if you're meeting in the school, you need to look at their website. Probably if they don't already, within the next week or so, they'll have a plan of how they're going to handle various things. Here in Fulton, I know on their website, the plan was very nebulous on any outside activities at all, but it was very specific that nobody got in those buildings during the day. They cut off salesmen, they cut off parties, various things during the day. And I think it's all going to be just contingent upon what the infection rate looks like in individual counties. And I know that Callaway County is much different than Boone County. I've been told Drain County is different than us. And so all of you have those individual relationships, and you're going to have to talk to your folks and understand what those requirements are and whether or not you're going to be able to continue using those facilities. I think the Fulton plan is to close the facilities at night and do a deep sanitation of everything. So you just have to understand where all those things are and see what could happen. And I know several of the churches here in Fulton are not yet having services anymore, are just starting back to having services and have limited a lot of their activities. So there's a lot of options in the community, but you just have to keep on top of that and listen to what your folks are saying and ask those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of different options out there and lots of different things that we need to consider as we're going through. We'll work through this list of things here, and we'll kind of approach it from the perspective of what a typical joining night would look like, and go through it item by item here. The location, the ideal location, of course, would be to do it in the school. That's familiar territory for mom and dad and the son or daughter that's interested in Scouts. But as Jack was saying, that may not be an option this year. Again, that'll vary from area to area. So you look at your church or your chartered organization. Is there a local park that you could use? Could you use a pool or some other community location? Could you do a parking lot type meeting and maybe do a drive-through where you're doing a lot of spreading of the word through online and social media and personal contacts and inviting people to come and having them drive through and giving them a little bit of an orientation as to what scouting is about. Can you do meetings online? We've had a lot of packs that have done Zoom or GoToMeeting type formats, and we could certainly do online or Zoom oriented recruiting events or join nights and be able to share that information. And we'll go through some different resources here later that would play into that very well. And we'll talk more about Be a Scout as well, but the Be a Scout website, which all of you can access through your MyDOT Scouting page, is an opportunity for families to reach out and find scouting units in their area and either ask for more information and reach out to you directly, or go right ahead and join through that Be a Scout website. Our staff has gone through all of the unit pins, as they're called, on the Be a Scout site, district by district, to make sure that that information is up to date. But you'll want to log in and make sure that double check on that as well, and make sure that you're set up to accept those online applications. Lori, in your case with Pack 44 in Sweet Springs, which is, everybody graduated up into the troop, or almost everybody graduated up into the troop a year or so ago. We're rebuilding, so you all don't have a pen right now, but there is a mechanism that we'll work on to see if we can get a scouting or or Be a Scout pin set up for you as a pending new unit to where you could be found through that same system.
Definitely have some interest here. I've been finding out this summer of kids wanting to be in the pack. So that's why I'm doing this. Hopefully we get the pack going again and yeah, be on board with everything.
That would be fantastic. Sweet Springs needs Cub Scouting, and those kids need Cub Scouting, and I suspect you and Laura and others want to make sure that the troop has a steady flow of scouts coming in. As we look at the timing, it's always been our recommendation that you do your joining night on the same night of the week, the same time of the night as you normally meet, just because that's setting the expectation and the understanding of what your unit meetings will look like and what that family's commitment is going to be. And we try and keep the meetings down to an hour, just out of respect for everybody's time. And I'll cross my fingers tonight. I was pretty close last night, keeping it down to an hour or Tuesday night, keeping this to an hour. So we'll see if we get close to there. But families are kind of checking us out, and they want to make sure that we're doing things on a schedule and that the bath times and bedtimes and homework and so forth are respected as well. The content of a typical join night, you have an opening, maybe you have the local scout troop come in and do a flag ceremony. It's always impressive to moms and dads to see those scouts, what their sons and daughters may look like in a few years, and kind of what they want their children to emulate as they're coming up. Have a welcome and welcome everybody to it. Get the kids a little bit excited about what scouting has to offer, and then immediately launch into a separate activity for those youth. We have a supply of water bottle rocket launchers, which I'm sure many of you have seen. Tommy is probably our local expert on that with all of his wood badge experience. I think I watched him running that event last fall. But we will have those available for an activity for the youth, so that you as the leaders or your recruiting ambassador from the district, whether that be a commissioner or a membership committee person or your district executive, can talk with those parents and have their undivided attention to talk about what we do, focus on the activities that we do, the age appropriateness of them, the safety, the youth protection training that we have every adult leader registered with the program go through. Talk about what the program does and how it helps turn their children into the adults that we all want them to be. And at the same time, it's the perfect opportunity to at least start the process of recruiting those new leaders and engaging those parents in the process of scouting. So many of the competing activities that families can do right now, whether it be music or taekwondo or sports, so many of those things are focused on mom or dad spending their time in the stands or in the waiting room or in the lobby or running errands while somebody else is delivering the program. And that's really what makes scouting special, is that there is no bench, there are no stands. Everybody is out there on the playing field together, and you're able to be a part, and as parents are able to be a part of creating those memories for a lifetime for their children. And of course, no meeting is complete without the paperwork and so forth at the end. The manpower associated with it, new member coordinators, many units have somebody registered in that position. If you don't, you want to have somebody take that role, because they are that immediate liaison, that contact with that new family to make them feel welcome. I mentioned earlier that our feedback has been over the years from families that have left scouting is that they didn't feel engaged. They didn't feel welcomed. They didn't feel like they were getting everything they needed to know or getting all of that communication. And that's where this new position that was created by the Boy Scouts of America just 2 or 3 years ago comes into play. That person is the one that's responsible for easing these families into the program, making sure they have the information they need, making sure they don't feel overwhelmed by everything that's going on with all of the new terminology. Obviously, you want to have your Cub Master there, your committee chair there, your treasurer, other unit leaders, folks from the local troop, like I said, to help with that opening ceremony or maybe help with that activity that the young potential or incoming Cub Scouts are off doing while you're talking to the parents. Your district recruiting ambassador, as I referenced earlier, maybe that's your district executive, somebody from the district membership committee or your unit commissioner that's there to support you. And I'll talk more about it later, but their role is to support your unit in that recruiting process, and they will come in the door with a lot of supplies to help make that possible. The last thing I wanted to hit on here was the notion of to uniform or not to uniform, and kind of get your feedback and what your experiences have been. Do you like the idea of wearing a uniform to a recruiting event or not, or what's been your experience?
Majority of all that I've been to, everyone's been in full uniform, and I think it's appropriate.
Okay.
David,
I think the leaders should be at least to help model what, to help represent, this is what we're doing, this is who we are, this is what we wear, help get the parents and the kids some more insight about it, and you have a hands-on that, hey, this is what we look like.
Okay.
I also think it's a little bit specific, depending on the area where you're at and working through uniforms or not uniforms. I think they need to know what a uniform looks like and then help them move that way if they're not. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's important for at least some of the leaders there to be wearing the uniform and modeling what scouting is about. At the same time, we've gotten some feedback over the years that if you walk into that meeting and you're sitting there in the audience with your son or daughter who's brought you to school because somebody came and visited and told them how cool Cub Scouts was, it can be kind of maybe intimidating to see all of these folks standing up in the front of the room in uniform, and makes it hard for somebody to identify with them. So I would suggest that having one or two folks, perhaps that new member coordinator there, not in uniform but dressed like those parents, so that the parents see somebody that looks like them, and maybe can help them feel comfortable and maybe not feel intimidated by a uniform. Certainly some cultures or ethnic groups have challenges with uniforming as well, but that's why the last couple of years we had some new member coordinator shirts, and we may still have some of those available this year as well. But I think it's important to have a mix of those.
Other suggestion I have is that on the new member coordinator, I think that packs and troops always struggle getting people to do things until they understand what they're doing. We're really talking about a hospitality coordinator. We're trying to have a welcoming attitude walking in that door. So every new person that walks in that door, I don't guess handshakes are appropriate in the COVID era, but they're greeted, they made to feel welcome. And, in your local situation, whether it's a new member coordinator or a doorkeeper or a hospitality person that's supposed to follow up, somehow we need to get that done. And if it fits your pack better, just to call it hospitality, that's not a problem necessarily. Just get it done from that perspective and make people feel welcome.
I like that term. If you said that, I was thinking like a concierge for Cub Scouting.
Yeah.
Just to guide them through the process of joining and becoming part of the pack family. In terms of supplies, I referenced it earlier. We were talking about your unit calendar. That is the single important piece of paper that you're going to bring to that meeting, because that tells that family what they're getting into, what's expected of them, and what when the meetings are and what different things are going to happen, regardless of how you plan things out through that process, whether you're doing den meetings in family homes and you're doing pack meetings over Zoom, or however you're doing that. Making sure that they have all of that information is important. Handouts, perhaps the list of your unit leaders, contact information. Some units have a unit handbook that talks about how pack 703 works. Some display items. We've talked about uniforming. Maybe you, if you don't have any Cub Scouts there, certainly you ought to have a Cub Scout uniform so the families can see what that's going to look like. Sample handbooks, patches from different events, derby cars or rain gutter regatta boats. Have your pack checkbook, various supplies, pens and paper clips and so forth. And I referenced earlier that that recruiting ambassador from the district will have a box that's going to have supplies. They'll have sign-in forms. They'll have directional signs that could be put up around the school or the meeting place to make sure people get to the right place. Applications for scouts and adults, new parent guides, receipt book, pens, paper clips, and so forth. And that that activity, if that water bottle rocket launcher is the activity that your unit wants to use, that ambassador will walk in the door with everything necessary to make that event happen for you. So you're not worried about pulling everything together. You can focus on having some handouts and including a calendar and maybe a few display items. Some packs go to the point of having a PowerPoint display, and that's certainly fine. If you've got that, that's great. If not, don't feel like you have to, because there's a lot of great information that you can go through just through the course of following the script. And as I said, no meeting's really complete without the paperwork and collecting that paperwork from those families and the fees from those families. So you can turn those into that recruiting ambassador. They can get it to the scout office for you, making sure that everybody knows when that next meeting is, the time and place of it, and encouraging the scouts to bring a buddy. We have some bring a buddy cards that we're producing that you all can have to hand out to your scouts. They'll also be posted on the membership page online as a fillable PDF that you can fill in the information ahead of time and print them out yourselves on cardstock or whatever you want to do, so you don't have to fill them out by hand as you go. Great resource to help those scouts. Scouting is more fun with a friend, so why not recruit a friend to come and do that, earn a recruiter patch in the process. And as I said, getting that paperwork turned into the ambassador so it gets to the office, because getting those scouts registered is an important part of it. We want to make sure that they're in the system, so they're getting that communication that we talked about before, getting those emails from the national organization, the local council and district, and the unit and so forth, to make sure that they're in the loop and they're feeling engaged. Make sure that they're covered by the scouting insurance by being registered. And if they've subscribed to Boys Life magazine, or whatever that magazine winds up being called here in the not too distant future, bear in mind that there is a 60-day lag between the time that subscription hits the national office to when they get their first copy of that magazine. And that's a big deal for those scouts. In many cases, it's the first time there's a regular piece of mail coming to that mailbox with their name on it, and they get pretty excited. And you hate to see a scout that joined maybe in September and the paperwork didn't manage to get to the office until November, and we're getting calls around Christmas time for frustrated parents because they still haven't seen that Boys Life magazine that they subscribe to, and they won't be getting it until January, February because of that lag.
David, maybe you could suggest, like in Laurie's case, where she's trying to rebuild a Cub Pack, that she could reach out to the scout troop and collect some of those old Boys Life magazines and magazines that could be giveaways for new parents coming in, so a new Cub has something to take home with them that they might be interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. In the past, the national organization has made available, and we've ordered and purchased a large supply of what they call mini mags, basically quarter-sized samples of what the Boys Life magazine looks like. They're not producing those this year. The samples are all online, and there's a link for that to where you can go see the sample, but we do have a number of them left over from prior years that we will make available. We're going to put some stickers on the back of them with a QR code that'll take them directly to a website to learn more about Cub Scouting. But we can make those available to units, particularly like in the case of Laurie's, where you're trying to rebuild, but really any unit that wants to be able to put those out maybe at the at the pediatrician's office in town, or the orthodontist's office, or some other location that potential scouts will pick that up, or families will pick that up, or hand it out at different events, because we do have a number of those. And yeah, it's a great way to for that new scout to get a sense of what scouting brings to them.
You know, and with the COVID environment, I'm of the opinion that many of these school districts are moving rapidly to one-to-one devices. So the scout items should get through all the internet protection stuff, all the filters. So a list of websites or addresses might be just as appropriate for today's kids as opposed to a publication. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I think that having that link and sharing that link with families as you're promoting your pack and promoting your recruiting events, using those links to additional information will be important. What if we can't is something that we're all facing. What if we can't do our recruiting events or meetings at the church or the school? We've talked earlier about alternate meeting locations, or these are some of the things that we need to address as we're planning our join nights. So if we can't recruit at the school or the church, you look at the community locations, as I said earlier, parks, schools, the parking lot, opportunity doing a virtual join night online, or definitely utilizing the Be a Scout system. Hopefully you all have, I know in the case of Pack 332 there in Wardsville, if I remember right, Tom, you all and the folks at a Holt Summit are planning a pool party. And I've got you on my list of people to reach out to. I'd like to see if we could maybe expand that to larger than just a couple of packs, and use that as a larger scale recruiting event for the Five Rivers District, and do some social media push and promotion of that. And I see you unmuted yourself, so maybe you're going to tell me yes or leave us alone. I'm not sure which is it.
Yeah, no, I'm actually driving, so I just pulled over. But we are planning with Pack 9, Jason Jenkins out of Holt Summit. We planned this way pre-COVID, but we rented Riverside Pool in Jefferson City on August 13th. It's a Thursday night. Our thinking was, with school starting later than usual and schools not letting us into school now, this was about the only way we would get some interest and get people to come. So we made a flyer, posted it all over Facebook in our local areas, and we have a sign up genius to where people can sign up. I'm totally open to more packs joining in. I'm not sure what the head count is at the pool, where they're going to restrict us or not. So we'd have to check on that. But other than that, I think the more the merrier.
Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic, and we could get together offline after this, or tomorrow or something, and talk about some of the specifics. And we can do some social media promotion and some other some paid promotion through social media and other things to try and drum up attendance and encourage folks to check out what Cub Scouting has to offer, whether it be with 332 or 9 or anybody else that decides to jump in and be part of that.
Yeah, it sounds really good to me.
All right. Talking about those community locations, maybe there's other things. I don't see Pack 90 on here tonight, but they did an event in the local park in Centralia last year where they had a camp out and had tents set up and activities for scouts to come and see. And if they wanted to spend the night and bring their own tent, they could do that. And they did that right there in the city park. So it was high profile. Lots of different things you can do to get in front of people and make sure people know that you're out there. Just because you can't do it in the way you've done it for all of these years in the past doesn't mean that we can't be creative and come up with new ideas. What if we can't do the talks in the school? That's something that we're probably going to be facing a fair amount this year in many communities. Or what if we can't send information home through the schools? And in Columbia and a few other communities, they have a peach jar system where there are basically electronic flyers that get sent home to families. And even if your school's not using peach jar, they may have a regular email system or blast that goes out to families. find out whether we can include our information in that and share information about your pack or about your recruiting event. Can we, if we can't go into the school and visit with the youth during lunches or in assemblies or whatever, can we greet them as they're coming off the bus or arriving at school? Can we catch them on the playground during recess where there's better opportunity to socially distance? As I mentioned, the email blasts, is there a school newsletter that goes out, or would we have the opportunity to provide videos to the school that they could show on the whiteboard in the classroom, or audio that could be used in automated voicemail systems? Or can we come in and help with the morning announcements some morning and talk about scouting? Obviously, we've got yard signs, we've got posters as we've done in the past, and those are available to everybody. We do have flyers if the schools will let us send home flyers. Use social media, use your unit social media, personal pages, school pages, particularly the unit social media. If you have a PAC Facebook page and you create an event for your sign-up night, make your local district a co-host, and we'll spend a little bit of money to help promote that event and do some Facebook geofencing, kind of like what the national organization was doing last year to help spread the word about that. Will the school let you put something on the marquee out in front? Other giveaways, we have wristbands, we have the buddy cards, the things that we could pass out, and never forget the peer-to-peer. That is the most powerful recruiting method. The scouts inviting their friends. Scouting is more fun with a friend, so invite them to be a part of it and make sure they're sharing the word, but not just the kids. Make sure mom and dad and everyone as leaders are telling their friends and sharing what's going on, making those personal calls and those personal invitations to everyone to make sure that they're included in that invitation and that opportunity to join. And as we've talked before, if you can't do the traditional sitting in the school cafeteria type of join night, there's lots of different options, whether it's be a scout or a virtual meeting or a drive-through or parking lot or in the city park and all of those different things. Jack, do you have anything to jump in on here? Or?
Well, I want to go back to Peach Jar just a minute. Everything we're talking about is who has a relationship with what principal or what superintendent. From a Cub perspective, that Cub master really should, along with the scout executive in the area, work on that principal and make sure you've got a relationship with that principal. Peach Jar was always established to stop the stuff going in backpacks home. And Peach Jar is a fee-based thing for a lot of players that want in. There's national players that want to market to parents, and that's how the school pays for it. Now, I also know the school can do anything they want to do with Peach Jar, so it's a lot dependent upon the relationships you have with the school administrator to get your stuff on there without getting run through the Peach Jar national office and having that fee-based. I don't know that you can do that everywhere, but I suspect that a lot of your elementary principals see the value in the scouting program, and especially now that we have girls, we're taking girls, sees a good opportunity for these kids. So you just have to work on that aspect of it and see if you can get them to put it on there. They're not going to go against their district rules, but they might be an advocate that gets the rules changed for you and work through that piece.
Absolutely. So how are we getting the word out? How are we getting these scouts and these families? And we've talked through a good deal of this already, the posters and flyers and yard signs. I reference on there QR codes. And, I'm sure you all have seen QR codes before, but we have, and I'll jump out of order here, there's an item on there talking about Great Rivers Council geofencing. Geofencing, if you've ever been driving by the mall or whatever, and all of a sudden you have an ad pop up on your phone for Target, that's geofencing. That's an automated system that is recognizing where you are and who you are in terms of your demographics and targeting advertisement directly to you. The Facebook ads that I referenced earlier is a version of geofencing, but we are spending some money this year on geofencing efforts through Google display ads that will show up on mobile devices as well as on your home computers, targeted across all of our 33 counties and major communities in the Great Rivers Council. Those ads, when somebody sees one and clicks on it, it'll take them straight to a landing page, which is the iwanttobeacubscout.org page that we've had and used for years. And that will give them a quick overview of Cub Scouts and give them an opportunity to click one of several links, one of which will give them an opportunity to ask for more information. They fill out a quick form and it generates an email that comes to me that I will then distribute to the local district executive in the unit that would be impacted there. Or they can go straight in and join, and it'll take them straight to Be a Scout webpage and let them sign up to join a Scout. And there's a button on there to call, and they click that call button and it'll call the Scout office, and they'll simply tell whoever answers that they saw our ad online and want to know more about Cub Scouts, and we'll transfer them to whoever the district is, or district executive is in their area. So that social media, that geofencing, and that use of QR codes, we have a QR code created that will take somebody directly to that iwanttobeacubscout.org webpage. We're going to put that on some stickers, and those will go on those mini mags that I mentioned earlier that we can give to you all to pass around. We have a supply of those left over from years past, but you could hand those out at community events, or like I said, at back to school, meet the teacher night, or at the local movie night sort of thing. Is Justin, who's on here from covers Black Diamond and Mark Twain districts, in Kirksville last weekend. They had a community movie night that we were the sponsor of. In addition to having some water bottle rockets, we had information to hand out there. We do still have some wristbands that have the iwanttobeacubscout.org site on them that can be handed out as souvenirs to Scouts. We're working on some coins that we can hand out to interested youth and parents to direct them to that site. But everything we can do to direct people to the Great Rivers Council and to that opportunity to join is important. And that, again, is where that Be a Scout pin through your My.Scouting page is important to make sure that that's updated, and why the staff's been working on those. School talks on the list here. In the schools where we're able to get in and do talks, time and time again, we know that being able to get in front of those youth, tell them about all the amazing stuff they do in scouting, and get them excited about becoming a part of it, that is a huge impact on generating their interest in coming to school, and coming back to school or coming to that join night, and reinforcing the information that's gone home in the flyers, ideally a week or so before that event, and we go in the day of or the day before and visit with those young folks and get them excited about Scouts, send them home with another flyer and more information, so that they're bringing mom and dad to come and get signed up. So how do we engage the schools? And I'll turn it back to Jack some here.
We sent, in the process of sending a letter to all the superintendents asking for access. I think that's the proper way, the political way to go about it. But for real success from a Cub Scout program, you really need to be working with that building principal and find that advocate in the building principal. I think from a perspective of a superintendent, from a sitting superintendent, most of the districts have specific policies, and some of the lawyers will tell you there's specific statutes that scouting can be allowed in school buildings. And I agree with all that stuff. The reality of life is you got to get along with the people that you're working with in their building. And the biggest challenge we have this year is COVID sanitation. And if you got a high incidence rate this year of infection, I really question whether we're going to get into many of those buildings. But it comes back to that individual relationship with that principal. I suspect there's some way you can connect with that principal and work through that through the PTA, PTO parent programs. There's always school cleanup days. I know in Fulton, several of the units did a lot of leaf raking, and those small types of things that went a long way for the principal and created access and a working relationship. And so I think that's what you have to really kind of work on. I know our area executives are constantly working that, but I think it's a lot with the Cub Masters too, working in those relationships. And we're talking about schools right now, but it's no different with churches or other community buildings. Here in the kind of Fulton and the northeast of here, there's a phenomenon I hadn't seen in the rest of the state called scout houses on the park. And those are old WPA buildings that's usually managed by Park and Recreation, but the same applies to those of working through the chain of command and working through there and keeping that good relationship. And basically it amounts to picking up after yourself. And I think in my 11 years as superintendent here, I only kicked one Cub Scout pack out because they just constantly kept tearing up stuff, and I just had to stop it. Principal was going crazy, and we changed leadership, and it was fine after that. So just kind of keep that in mind. Gets back to that hospitality concept that we're guests in those buildings. Yes, they are public buildings. No, I don't believe you have a right to be there. Yes, you do. We do want you in there from a perspective of community use, though.
Yeah. And yeah, that's, building that partnership is important. And you'll see the last item on there, the BSA Adopt a School program. I don't know how many of the folks on the call are familiar with that, but that's something that the national organization rolled out a number of years ago. I strongly encourage everybody to take a look at that. But Jack was kind of referencing that earlier with cleanup projects and different things around the school, just to help solidify that relationship and give something back to that school that is so important to what we do as scouters and scouts in terms of our recruiting opportunities. Building that relationship and having that adopt a school format. One of the neatest projects I saw done years ago was a buddy bench. If you're familiar with buddy benches, the idea is out on the playground, if you've got a youngster that's feeling lonely or needing a friend to play with or whatever, they go sit on this buddy bench, and everybody knows if they see somebody sitting on the buddy bench, they're looking for somebody to play with. And a local Cub Scout pack went into the school and built a couple of these benches and put Cub Scout Pack 42 all over them and handprints from all the Cubs, and talked about, it talked about Cub Scouting as a great service to the school and a marketing piece for them as well. But it was a neat program. But meeting with those principals and talking with those folks in the buildings and building that relationship and finding out what your options are is going to be important. There's a tool or a form on the membership website that you can use when you go in and visit with schools. Take your district executive in there with you, or go in and visit with the schools, but make sure you've hit on all of the options and opportunities that you have to work with those schools. Because in the end, we're all in the same business in many ways. We're trying to build those future citizens, and the school wants to help our young people grow into positive, productive adults the same way we do through scouting. So we're on the same team and trying to accomplish the same goals. So what do we need to be focusing on right now, or what should you all be thinking about right now? Mentioned earlier, get your pack calendar put together. There's a section on that fall Cub Scout recruiting section about building your calendar, pulling together the resources. We've got the council calendar linked on that membership page document with all of the dates of things that we have for adults, Cubs and Scouts BSA, and the different things going on. Have a copy of that on hand, have your school, church, community calendars to build around, and to make sure that that you put all of the kind of amazing adventures on there that you can, and you're taking advantage of all the resources that are put together by the district and the council, as well as your local communities. Take a look at your Be a Scout pin through My.Scouting. Make sure that the information on there is accurate, the contact information. Make sure that you're set up to accept memberships and people to join online. So many different organizations that our kids can get involved in these days, whether it's Little League or anything else you're registering online. That's the way of the world and the direction we're moving. So we need to make sure that we're accommodating that as well. Get out and visit with the schools and principals. Plan your event. We have a form on that page as well. Checklist to work through as you're planning your join night, making sure you've got all the pieces in place, making sure you've got who's responsible for what, and all of the processes and all the steps that you're going through to make sure you've got all of those assigned, and setting a goal for your unit in the process. As you set that goal, those of you that have followed the last few years, we have incentives for units that set and reach that membership goal. Again, we've got pack t-shirts, custom pack t-shirts, and there'll be an image of one a little bit later. And I know that pack 703, I think, got some last year. I don't know whether any of the others on here have earned any of those through membership goals in the past, but it's a great way to get a cool unit t-shirt at a very affordable price. We've worked with a local vendor that we've used on a lot of other things, and for every new scout that joins, if you hit your membership goal, $3 a shirt covers the cost of your shirt. We're subsidizing the rest of it for each of those new members, and if you want to get shirts for your existing members, you'll just pay for those at cost at $7 a shirt. Get your event information. If you go to that Cub Scout fall recruiting page on our website, there is a link right there near the top where you will go in and load the information for when your recruiting event is, your join night, the date, the time, the location, address information, who the point of contact is, so we can put that information on the flyers and posters and have all of the right information available for you to distribute to folks. And that's also the same information that we're going to use as we're building the promotion things that we're doing through social media, and the page that we have on the website that lists all of the different recruiting events that will be linked on that through the ads. They click on that ad, they can find that joining opportunity in their neighborhood, but the only way we can get that information on that page is if you've got that loaded in there. And as I said earlier on, create a social media event on your PAC Facebook page. Make your local district a co-host. And, we'll pay to help boost that event. Real quick, resources that we're making available to you. We've talked about along the way: school talks, wristbands, flyers, posters, yard signs, the manpower with that district recruiting ambassador, the kits that the ambassador is bringing with them with all of the necessary supplies, and the rocket launchers, the geofencing effort, and the paid social media marketing that we're doing, the Boys Life magazine promotion items. Here's kind of a snapshot of a whole bunch of those things. I'll point out here, and I don't know if you see my mouse moving on the screen, but every scout that joins this fall is going to get a special gift. We have a whole bunch of these tool sets. Every scout will get a flashlight, and there's a multi-tool for a family member there. And we have enough of those on hand that every scout that recruits a buddy to join will get one of those as well. We have a picture of what the water bottle rocket launchers look like. some samples of the geofencing ads in the middle of the screen that will that folks will see as they're out surfing on their phone or whatever, and that's what they'll be able to click on. The council membership webpage down here at the bottom, where that information you can find image of a new family welcome booklet or guide that we're giving to the parents, what the flyers and posters look like, and here's what the t-shirts that I referenced earlier look like. The national organization has a lot of great resources, and we've talked about beascout.org. The membership and marketing hub, if you haven't been to that site, go to it. There's a link on our membership page to go to that. The resources there are amazing. They have been doing a series of webinars related to recruiting going back to June, and they have a few more coming up here in the next week or so. Registration links to participate in those are on there, and if you missed any of them, the links to the recordings of those webinars are all on there. Lots of great information from folks that have been planning and having great success from all across the country. Those webinars, as I referenced, they have also on there all kinds of marketing pieces, images, logos, customizable brochures, email templates, radio spots. I referenced videos earlier, and I'll hit on those here in a second. Actually have a couple of samples of those, but they've produced some great videos, some targeted at parents, some targeted at youth, that if that school won't let you come in and do a talk, if they will help promote through their website or on the whiteboard in the classrooms or through the morning announcements or whatever it may be to help share that message, National has created some really nice resources. The beascout.org page we talked about, that is a huge piece of joining right now. And at that website, you type in the zip code, tell them what age group you're looking at, and that family will get a list of the units in that zip code area with a button to get more information, which will send an email directly to those points of contact that you've updated in your system, or we'll take them straight to Be a Scout to apply and join for scouting. So make sure you're going through the reference materials. There's also a link on our membership page for all of the tutorials as to how that works, so that you can keep track of your invitation manager and your application manager within My.Scouting, so you can keep track of those families that are reaching out to you either to join or to get more information. Let's see here.
Hello everyone, I'm Zabretta.
And I'm Orlando. Welcome to Everything You Want to Know About Cub Scouts. Okay, maybe that title needs some work. But if you are watching this video, chances are you have some questions about Cub Scouts.
That's right. And today we're going to talk all about Cub Scouts and answer some common questions parents like you have. So let's get started. Question 1. What is Cub Scouts?
I'm glad you asked. Cub Scouts is filled with fun adventures and making friends. That is what your child sees in Cub Scouting. For you as a parent, Cub Scouting aims to build citizenship, character, personal fitness, and prepares them to be future leaders in our communities. The magic of Cub Scouting is that it is a game with a purpose. Cub Scouts and their families participate in fun activities that are designed to achieve these aims. What may seem like a simple activity may in fact be a method used to teaching your child about science or the environment. All of these things make Cub Scouting fun for the family while making awesome memories that will last a lifetime.
Question 2. Who is Cub Scouts for? Cub Scouting is for boys and girls in the kindergarten through 5th grade. You and your child will be welcomed into a small group of other families who have children in the same grade to form what is called a den. Your den will be the focus of activities, get-togethers, and celebrations. All the different grades in the community form what is called a pack.
Now question 3. What about meetings and activities? Depending on where you live, each den and pack schedule will be slightly different. Generally, dens tend to meet twice a month, where your scout will make new friends, play purposeful games, and learn new things. Then all the dens in the pack come together usually once a month for larger pack activities and events. Cub Scouts participate in tons of different activities, including games, projects, skits, songs, outdoor activities, trips, and service projects. Besides being fun, these activities offer opportunities for growth, achievement, and family involvement.
Question 4 is about adventures. Once you join Cub Scouting, your child will start on a journey of fun adventures. In fact, adventures is what we call the different activities your child will do. Adventures in Cub Scouting are grade specific with content designed to be age appropriate. Adventures range from cooking, science, and of course, the outdoors. Many Cub Scout families also enjoy camping, but don't worry, you don't have to be a survivalist. Remember those small groups of other family members from the same grade level called dens? Well, each grade level is working towards earning a special patch. This patch is called a rank, and each grade level has a different rank they work toward. Kindergartners work towards earning the lion rank, first graders towards the tiger rank, second graders work towards wolf, third graders work towards bear, fourth graders work towards weebelows, and we know that's a funny word, and lastly, fifth graders work towards arrow of light.
Yeah, and to earn their rank, your child will simply complete adventures with their den. And no worries if you miss a meeting, because as a parent, you can do most anything that might have been done in a den at home.
Okay, our last question is about cost. How much does it cost to be a Cub Scout? Like most youth activities, there are initial startup costs you can expect. This includes a registration fee, one-time joining fee, pack dues, along with the Cub Scout uniform, and your child's handbook.
Now, we know you might have some more questions, so to discover more about Cub Scouting, go to scouting.org/programs/Cub-Scouts. There you will learn more about the program and see the resources to get you started.
My name is Carlos, and I'm a Cub Scout. I'm here to talk to you today about becoming a scout like me. Cub Scouts get badges for doing fun activities, and we make friends. Scouts go camping, climbing, and fishing, and swimming together. We play sports and go to parades. Scouts also help people and become the best versions of themselves. Visit bascout.org to find a pack near you, get any questions answered, and sign up for Cub Scouts online.
There's a couple of videos, a couple of samples of over 24 videos that are on that membership and marketing hub that I referenced earlier. Just imagine that join night that you're going to, that one that was targeted for the parents. What more do you need to tell that new family? They do an amazing job of giving a good overview of what Cub Scouting is all about. You could even show that video during your join night, especially if you're doing a virtual type join night. You could share that video. Then you hit on some of the specifics to what makes your pack unique, and move on. They do an amazing job of sharing that information. And if we could do that, use that video of the youth talk in the schools, if we're not able to get in there, that's a great way for that peer-to-peer recruiting.
My name is Carl.
Real quickly, what Cub Scouts cost, we've hit on this some before, but just as a reminder, as of August 1st of this year, to be a scout, it costs $126 a year. That prorates at $10.50 a month. So a scout joining in September would pay for 4 months worth of that. Any brand new scout has a $25 one-time new member fee. That doesn't apply to scouts that are renewing or to adult memberships. Adult memberships are $78 a year. That prorates at $6.50 a year. On the scout side, 66 of that goes straight to the national organization. The other 60 stays with the Great Rivers Council. On the adult side, 42 goes to national and 36 stays with the local council. None of the other fees that you may recall related to fundraising fees and that sort of thing, none of that exists anymore. This is what it costs to be a scout. In addition to that, you may have dues that vary by pack, costs associated with buying a uniform or a handbook. We do have financial assistance available, and certainly there are fundraising opportunities that different units do, as well as fundraisers that the council sponsors, like the popcorn and burger sale and the camp cards, where you're earning 50% commission on popcorn and burger sales this fall. They're already up and running. The ability to sell online is already going. We've done a bunch of different training programs. If you haven't had a chance to take those for your unit, make sure you get somebody to those and make sure your unit is registered to sell, because 50 cents on the dollar of every item you sell is the best commission rate that any council nationwide is offering. And I mentioned there, or I put on the screen reference to scout accounts. A lot of units use Scout accounts as a way to share directly with those families a portion of the dollars that are raised in their fundraising efforts, so that those scouts can earn their way and have dollars that can be used within their accounts to help pay for their scouting adventures, whether that be helping to pay for their dues or their registration, or paying to go to day camp or summer camp or any of the other exciting things that they have to offer. I think that kind of hit through all of our slides there. At this point, want to see if anybody has any questions. Jump in if you have questions. Or I did not see anything popping up in the chat yet.
Hey, Dave, I do have a question. In regards to the geofencing, that's awesome. I'm glad to see the money being invested in that. That's really cool. When does that go live?
That should go live next week. They're putting the finishing touches on the ads, and the landing page that I want to be a Cub Scout.org. If you were to go to that page right now, it would redirect you directly to Be a Scout. But that will go live probably the early part of next week.
So then how specific can we get? So can I geofence around Fairview Elementary and those neighborhoods, or what are we geofencing?
The geofencing that I was talking about there is a council-wide effort that is targeting across all 33 counties. But in terms of, you set up this is the join at Fairview Elementary, whether you're we'll do that we'll in a certain
Okay.
But that's where it's key to get that information loaded in that site online to work out information and so forth.
Sounds good.
Other questions?
I don't see anything, Dave, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. Jack and I talked earlier today, and I managed to miss getting my contact information slide put in there. But Tommy, you know how to reach me, and Lori knows how to reach me. So,
Okay, yeah.
but if anybody has anything that I can help with, or if your folks are interested in, you have people that are interested in helping other PACs with their recruiting in an ambassador role, please let us know, and we'll get the word out.
Dave, am I correct that this one's recorded and will be on our website?
This one is recorded. We'll put it up on the website. I'll have to get, it'll take a while to render, and I'll have to get into it in the morning and
sure
edit out a little bit here because it was recording when you and I were chatting before everybody got here. So
oh, okay. Well, we've got another one. Monday we can try again.
Right. Yeah, I'll edit out that part and get it down to when we actually started. Justin, I had asked you on Tuesday night to help me remember what questions were asked Tuesday to make sure that all of those same topics were covered. Was there something that was missed here?
No, you guys covered everything and then some, and I'm glad Tommy asked his question. But nope, you guys got it all covered. Well done, gentlemen. I appreciate it very much.
All right. Well,
okay,
thank you
all
for joining us.
Have a good evening.